Get ready to roll because these sticky buns are going to steal the show. Sticky Buns! Hey, my name is Carrie with eatingonadime.com, and most of you know us as the Crockpot people. We love helping families eat well on a budget, but today we're changing it up and we're making sticky buns. Guys, when you use our recipes, you're going to see that you can virtually make anything because we make everything super simple and easy to make, and today's recipe does just that. Sticky rolls are delicious. You're going to find the full recipe linked in the description below, as well as the links to everything that I'm using, including my trusty mixer that I've had now for 19 years. 19 years, that makes me feel old. Correction, 18 years. My twins are 18 and I got them the Christmas after they were born. My mom gave this to me and it's still going strong. So we're going to include a link to everything that we're using as well. But let's get started. Now, sticky buns. These are perfect for a dessert. They're perfect for breakfast. It's fun for every single holiday. And just because on a Saturday morning, just get up, take a slow morning and make these yummy sticky buns. Now stay tuned for the end because I'll give you some tips and tricks if you want to freeze them, if you want to make them ahead of time. We'll talk about all that as we're diving into that ooey gooey piece of sticky bun. It's going to be fun. First thing we need is butter. We're going to need 5.5 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. I like my butter softened because we're going to throw this in the mixer. Oh, let's talk about that. I'm using my KitchenAid mixer. I prefer to use a standing mixer for this, but you can do a handheld mixer. It's just a lot more work. And use your paddle. Like, you know, if you have a KitchenAid, it comes with like different attachments. Use this one. I do have to admit, I think it's time for me to upgrade my paddle. It's been beaten because I've used it so long. But can you really just like, how amazing is that? I'm just now needing to replace one thing after 18 years. That's unreal. So I know they're expensive, but they're worth every penny. And you don't have to take care of them because let me tell you, I'm rough with my stuff. So we're going to throw that 5.5 tablespoons of butter in here. Then we got to throw in some sugar. Now I'm going to get my giant sugar. Now, I know, don't make fun of me all you want. We're going to throw in some sugar. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on. Sorry, I said it's 6.5. And then, I'll just do approximate. I know I'm baking. You really shouldn't do that, but here we are. You guys know me. You do you. So we got sugar and butter. Then add in a teaspoon of salt and 1.5 teaspoons of butter. I'm not butter, vanilla. Carrie, I got butter on my brain. Then we are going to mix this together with, let me turn that on after I'm talking. We want to mix this together with that paddle and get everything nice and blended together. Start on like low. And then as that butter starts moving, then you can turn it up to about medium to get it to mix well. We're going to let this mix for 3 to 5 minutes. I know it seems like a long time, but we want that butter to get nice and fluffy. Now, once this is nice and fluffy, you know it's time. And you'll know it's nice and fluffy because it's well combined and it's not in like chunks anymore. Maybe I shouldn't use the word chunks with butter. Put this not over when I'm talking about what it looks creamy and almost look like a frosting, but not quite. Now we're going to add in an egg. Lower this down. Okay. And then we're going to turn this on and get this all mixed together. Make sure you take a minute and scrape down the sides, just since it's not a lot. That way those eggs will incorporate better. So then when you turn it back on, it'll incorporate even more. Now we're going to add 3.5 cups of flour. When you are doing flour, measuring flour for baking items, you don't want to pack it in. You just want to scoop it, use a knife or a leveler, and then just scrape it off. I need a better flour jar. Don't judge me. Then we're going to put these right in here. Let me lower this. Now, if you get a KitchenAid and it doesn't like do what I'm doing, that's okay. This is the little bit bigger, more expensive one. My mom got it for me because she knew I would use it forever because I'm obsessed with cooking. I mean, this was before Eating on a Dime. This was just Carrie. And I've gotten my money's worth, or her money's worth out of it, I guess I should say. But yours might just lift up and it does the same thing. So don't worry about it. Whoop. Okay, so we don't want to pack it full. If you find out that your sticky buns end up being kind of too like thick, it's because you're packing your flour full. So we just scoop and then we just straighten on top. So that's 3.5 cups of flour. Then we're going to add about 2 teaspoons of instant yeast, or like a packet of instant yeast. A packet of instant yeast is about 2 1/4, but it's okay. It's just a little bit, it'll be fine. And then 1 cup of whole milk. And you want your milk to be room temperature. So you kind of place it in the in your measuring cup and just let it sit on the counter while you're mixing everything else. That just helps that instant yeast activate if it's not, you know, refrigerator cold. Then we're going to mix this together. Since you have flour, let's start on slow before we move it up so you don't get that flour burst of cloud. Keep mixing it until a ball forms. So right now we don't have the ball forming, so we're going to keep mixing it until it forms into a ball, and I'll show you what that looks like. Now I wanted to show you, this is what it's going to look like. It's starting to look like a dough. So I said a ball, but just a dough. And at that point, it's time to switch this to our dough paddle. Now we're going to switch these. I said dough paddle. You know, I can't talk. You guys know me. It's a hook, the dough hook. But you know what I'm saying. We're going to switch these out. Now, if you don't have a standing mixer, you need a hand mixer, this is when you're going to go to your countertop with some flour and you're going to knead it by hand. But this thing actually does the kneading for you. So we're going to put this on. And then we're going to turn this on and let it do its thing. Let me talk before I turn it on again. Sorry. Let it do its thing for about 10 minutes and letting it knead it. It should form into a nice ball that's being bumped around into the bowl. Okay, you want to keep stirring it until it looks like this. Now, I had to add a little bit more flour. So when you're using the dough, if it's not coming together for a ball, go ahead and add in about 1/4 cup of flour until it gets to a ball form. And you want it to be tacky, but not sticky. So when I say tacky, I mean like it's not completely dry, but it's not sticking to your skin. So that's how you know you have the perfect consistency. Now that that's formed, we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of oil. You can do olive oil, vegetable oil, avocado oil. I'm just going to put a little bit on a paper towel and oil up the bowl. So you're just doing this because we're going to let this dough rise and you don't want it to stick to the bowl. So it's just a small step that just makes it a lot easier. So now I'm going to take this off, if I can do this on video, because apparently I can't. There we go. Sometimes my brain doesn't work when I'm doing a video. You guys know how that works. Well, maybe you don't, but so we're going to take this out. See how it's in a nice ball form and it's not sticky. We're just going to roll this in the ball and plop it in the middle. Then we're going to take some saran wrap and cover this bowl so we can let it rise. I figured it out without raging. You guys know how, does saran wrap irritate you guys too? Or is it just me? I guess it's called plastic wrap. Saran wrap's like the brand, isn't it? Let me know in the comments, guys. Okay, so we're going to cover this. We're going to let this rise for 2 hours so it doubles in size. I will see you in just a few. Okay, it is doubled in size. So we are ready to remove it from the bowl. Now that it's beautifully risen, I'm just going to set this aside. We're going to roll it out in just a minute, but we need to make our topping first. For the topping, we need 1 cup of butter that has been softened. So not melted, but just kind of sat on the counter for a while. So, you know, a stick, if you're in the US, because I know it varies, but a stick is 1/2 of a cup. So 2 sticks will give us a whole cup. And then you're going to need a whole cup of sugar. We're going to do 1/2 cup of granulated sugar and 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So we are back to using the paddle attachment. And then we're going to beat this on medium speed until it's light and fluffy. It'll take about 2 to 3 minutes, just like it did at the beginning of our recipe. Once it's finished, Go ahead and scrape down the sides just using a spatula. Then we are going to add a half a cup of corn syrup. I'm using light corn syrup. Let me lower this. Get all that goodness out of there. And then a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then we're going to mix again. Now we're going to beat this on high speed for 4 to 5 minutes until it's light and fluffy. Now you're going to need a 9x13 pan. I'm going to spray it with a little non-stick spray. And we're going to place this topping in the bottom. It's a little confusing, topping in the bottom of the pan. And there's a reason, because on sticky buns at the end, we actually flip them over just like you would do like a monkey bread, and all that gooey deliciousness is going to drizzle all down, and it's the topping. So it's like an upside down cake. So don't be confused that we're putting the topping in the pan first. So we're going to take this out. Just going to get all of this scraped off, and we're going to put this in the bottom of this 9x13 pan. I'm just going to plop this topping right into the bottom of the pan, and then we're going to spread it out. Now I'm just spreading it out into the bottom of the 9x13 pan. Now you need a half a cup of pecans that I'm going to chop up. I'm using my little nut chopper. I don't even know what it's called. You can buy them pre-chopped, but I feel like they're always like super chopped, like really fine. Or they're like in like, you know, like perfectly shaped pieces. So I kind of like doing it myself. So I'm going to chop up some of these, but I think I'm going to leave some of these kind of whole. So we have a little bit of coarse chop. It's up to you, right? You know, then I'm just sprinkling this into the bottom on top of that topping. I'm just going to finish stretching this. I wanted some chunks in it. So I know that's just my personal preference. I want a bunch of smaller pieces so you get a little bit of those pecans in every bite, but then I just feel like it's so much prettier when you have some of the bigger pieces in there as well. But you do you, boo. We love you regardless. Now we're going to set this aside, and I'm going to wipe up my counter and remove this because we're ready to roll out the dough. Now it's time to roll out the dough. We're going to just flour just a little bit on the surface. Get this, oh, beautiful fluffy dough. Some of those pieces in there. And we're going to roll it out into a 9x18 rectangle. So if you think of our pan, it's a 9x13. So we want a 9, but then we're going to want it even longer, just to give you a visual. And I kind of like to use that as a visual when I'm rolling it out. Kind of dust your pan, so it doesn't, not pan, your rolling pin so it doesn't stick. When you're rolling it out, start in the middle and then work out. If you start on the edges, you're going to end up with these long stringy edges, and you're going to end up with a really thick middle. So start in the middle and then slowly start rolling it out. So we're just rolling this out, starting with the middle and pushing it out. Then once I get that length down a little bit, then I start working on going out wider to get to that 9x18. Okay, I've got my rectangle. Now let's take the 9x13 pan. Okay, our width is looking good. And then if you think about it, this is 9 inches, so I need 2 of those. Perfect. So my rectangle is perfect. Obviously, it's not a perfect rectangle, but it's perfect for this. Now we're going to make a cinnamon sugar mixture. I have 7 tablespoons of sugar, just regular granulated sugar, and I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons of cinnamon. Then we're just going to whisk this together. And I'm going to sprinkle this right on top. And I want to get it all over, including all the way to the edges. So I'm going to sprinkle it on, and then we're just going to kind of smooth it out to get it all over the edges. Then we're just going to go and make sure all that sugar gets spread out and all the way to the edges. So that way you have cinnamon in every single bite. Then we're going to take the long ways and roll it up, okay? Just like you would do if you're making cinnamon rolls. As you can tell, this is a lot of a similar process as homemade cinnamon rolls, but slightly different because we're not making cinnamon rolls, we're making sticky buns. And that's where you're gonna have that gooey, sticky caramel deliciousness just oozing all over them. So I'm gonna slowly roll them up all the way. Once you get it completely rolled up, you wanna make sure that seam is down. There we go. Takes a minute to get that roll going. So finish and make sure the seam is pressed down. So see how you can see the seam right now? I'm gonna roll it just a little bit more so it's underneath it so it doesn't unroll, especially when we cut it. And then see how you can't see the seam under there anymore because it is completely underneath the roll. Now we're gonna cut it into 12 pieces. So instead of just going along and start chopping it, let me show you how to make sure you're getting 12 almost similar in size pieces. So we're gonna cut it in half first, and then cut each half into half again. Again, we're pushing it directly down fast. When you're cutting it, use a large knife or you can use floss. Just make sure it's like plain floss, but I just find this to be super easy. And remember, we're making sticky buns, so they don't have to be this perfect, beautiful cinnamon rolls. Like it's supposed to be sticky, messy, and amazing. So don't stress out about it. Once we get these done, we're gonna cut these into thirds. So each piece will get cut 2 slices. See how I'm just pushing straight down and not sawing it? And that's how you get these beautiful 12 pieces that are almost the same size. Now we gotta take that topping and it's time to put these right on top. So we're just placing it right on top into the pan, just like you would if you were doing cinnamon rolls. Go ahead and space them out. I'm doing 4 rows of 3, so that way they're spaced out evenly because now we're gonna let these rise. Now we're gonna cover with plastic wrap. Let's see if Carrie can actually cut the plastic wrap on a video. I feel like everything's harder when you're trying to film yourself. We're gonna cover this, we're gonna let this rise for about an hour and a half. It really depends on how warm your place is. I'm making these right now when it's pretty toasty outside. So they're gonna rise a lot quicker than if I was making them in the dead of winter. So I'm going to go ahead and keep an eye on them. And when they have doubled in size, which means they're gonna be touching each other, it's ready for us to continue. It's been an hour and a half. They have officially doubled in size and we are ready to bake. I'm heading to the oven. We have preheated the oven at 350 degrees and we're gonna let them cook until they're nice and brown and that topping is nice and bubbly. It's been 10 minutes. Okay, I got a serving platter. You want a serving platter that is as close as you can to how big your 9x13 pan is. I don't know why I'm wearing these right now. Calm down, Carrie. If you don't, you can just use like a cookie sheet. That would work as well, okay? We're gonna see how this does. It's not even that hot, so I don't know why I brought those pot holders out. And we're gonna flip it over and let them slowly start to fall and let that stuff goo over. Now, you could just lift it up and let it be, but I'm actually going to, here, I'll show you. But I want a little bit more of that stuff to drizzle, so I'm gonna let this cool just for a few more minutes and let any of this other yumminess just fall onto them, and then we're ready to dive in. Okay, we are ready to serve. So I'm removing this. I just wanted to let any of the yumminess fall down, but it all pretty much fell down immediately. But look at them. It's stunning. Can you imagine making this for any holiday, making this for a dessert, Thanksgiving, or like any day? I mean, it looks so fancy. And honestly, it really isn't hard to make at all. Oh! It's time for my favorite part, eating it. Okay, look at this gooey, sticky amazingness. Oh my goodness. Friends, remember why I'm playing around with, look at that sticky gooiness. Remember, you can grab the full recipe. I have linked it in the description. You're gonna wanna save this recipe for any special occasion, for the holidays, or just because I know what I'm going to be asking my husband to make me on my birthday for breakfast. These. mm. Mm. So good. Well, after that bite, we know where I'll be. I will be eating the rest of this, so I have to go. Thanks so much for joining my kitchen. I hope I inspired you to make something delicious. Don't be buying any cinnamon rolls or sticky rolls at the grocery store because you can make these and they are way better by making them at home. Okay, we are out of here, friends. Don't forget, like and subscribe. I don't want you to miss any more of our family-friendly recipes. And in the meantime, don't forget to eat at home by eating on a dime. Bye, friends.